Hello, welcome and welcome back. This is Jacob, and today we are going to be beginning the narration and character voice acting for the side story Lone Trail. Yes, the Bible of a text has been finally released. People have been hyping this thing up for probably a lot of reasons, reasons that I am not privy to, and especially because right now, just like similarly to the main story recently, you're listening to Past Jacob, the one that has not read yet anything. And if you have listened to the to the narration of the current main story, aka Chapter 12 and its first part, you might know why I'm doing it this way. But before we begin, as always, a couple of points to go through very quickly. Point number one, the usual. To anybody who is new to Arknights and especially to this channel as well, hello and welcome. I hope you enjoy your stay, and I hope you enjoy the vast amounts of Arknight stories. It's the lore of this world and everything that exists in it. It is very fascinating, and if you're just going on this journey for the first time, enjoy. There is a lot. And of course, if you just want to pick up and listen to stories while you don't have time to read yourself, there's this channel, of course. There is pretty much at this point, as of this recording, almost everything outside of only three side stories have yet to be recorded and uploaded onto the channel, but pretty much everything else from main story in its entirety to side stories to plus other bonus content like modules and stuff is on the channel. You can just flip it on and sit back and listen to it while you do something else. And catch up on some old stories, or remind yourself also of some old stories that you might have forgotten about, considering how much time this game has already been going for. So, thank you very much. Now, point number two, and this one regards Lone Trail. Now, obviously I haven't read it yet, but when it comes to is this connected to anything, do you need to know anything before going into this story? The answer is simply, it would be preferred, or rather my suggestion would be to actually go through at least two things before this. Number one would be the side story that came out before this one, which is Dorothy's Vision, which again, you can find a link to the playlist for that one in the description of the video if you want to go through it in your own time and just listen to it. That one obviously introduces us a lot to Rhinelap, specifically to tree mounts and a lot of other things, and a lot of characters that are probably gonna have some reappearance in today's, or rather in this side story. The other thing is a piece of media that you will not find in-game, and it is the Rhinelab manga. The manga is officially available, or rather officially translated and officially available on the Arknights EN webpage, and I will provide a link. You can find it below the like button in the description of the video, and you can go directly there and read through the manga yourself. It is short. You can literally knock it out in probably, well, depending on your speed of reading, of course, you can probably knock it out in an hour and a half. It has a couple of hefty pages, but you can go quickly through it. And it is very informative, covering both past and present of the Rhinelab members, being the present being on Rhode Island, the past being at Rhinelab, and what went down and why they left Rhinelab to go to Rhode Island. Personally, I literally this afternoon, just before this released, went through the entire manga once again just to remind myself, and to give you an estimate, it took me an hour and a half to go through the entire thing, so it's not super long, but it's very good. I would highly recommend doing it. And yes, of course, I am aware I did start up back when Dorothy's Vision was releasing a series here on the channel where I wanted to narrate the whole thing. Sadly, that period after Dorothy's Vision was so super dense that I never gotten around to continue it, and the main reason being that the narrations themselves are already taking a lot of time, the regular stories to record, and the manga narrations, because they are a lot of extra work, took literally all the free time I had, so I never actually had the opportunity to go back to it and properly do it. Apologies. I do not know if I'm gonna have any time at any point soon to go back to that and do it again, but the manga is short, at least, so you can read very quickly through it. But yeah, recommend you do that. However, if you just want to go through the story blindly as well, you're free to do so. No one's gonna stop you. No one's gonna stop you. There's probably gonna be references to a lot of stuff, so I would just recommend at least going through those two stories. Obviously, there is more. There is Mansfield's Break, which is where a lot of the plot got teased in. Mules has had a proper appearance in that one, and there is a lot more, from just operator records to vignette side stories where Rhinelab members appear for brief periods, but you know, those I would not highly recommend. Dorothy's vision and the manga are gonna be just enough. The rest is bonus. The rest I leave to anybody who wants to learn more. But alright, that covers that. Now to point number 3, to the same thing I did for the main story recently, and that is prediction time, baby. Now, let's put it this way. After watching the trailer for this, and I'm not talking about the CG trailer, which is obviously available here as well in-game, I am talking about the trailer in which they introduced the units, furniture, and all the other stuff at the end of it. That first part was so front-loaded with data. Usually it's a couple of lines of text that are very visible on screen, but this time around they made very sure to obfuscate a lot of text very quickly with graphics and stuff. And oh boy, is there a lot of juicy stuff and suggestive stuff in there. And a lot of stuff seems to be pointing to some things that I'm about to go through over. So, predictions to what is gonna be in this story. Again, I have no idea. This is purely based on things that I know, so if you want to skip this part and come back later to it and see how many things I got right or wrong, you're free to do so. Just hit that right arrow and go as far forward as possible until you see the stages. But prediction number 1. Now, considering that the fake sky has been pointed out as one of the big things for this thing, that is an obvious thing that I think we're gonna learn about in this side story. Now, what does it entail? What will it entail? What are we gonna figure out? Well, originally, and this is talking about years in the past, when the theme about or the theme about the fake sky came about for the first time, or rather when NPCs would be talking about that they can't properly use the sky for navigation, for example, because that's a no-no. Back then I thought, like, okay, is it a natural phenomenon? Could it be just something similar to how the molten core of a planet is producing a magnetic field around it due to its spin and density, that Originium is doing something similar because it's such a huge, vast amount of energy in those crystals that are pretty much everywhere, that it's maybe radiating something around the planet that's freaking everything out and screwing everything up. But recent stuff changed my opinion on that. I do not think it's a natural phenomenon anymore. And this one is based, and this is no spoiler by the way, this was recently brought to us by a certain module short story. Now, I will not talk about the entire module. If you want to check that short story out, you can find it easily here on the channel. It is the module short story that comes with the module for operator Amiya. Amiya's caster module carries a very hefty lore bomb of a story. And one of several things that gets shown, or rather talked about in there, is the fact that one of the 2 moons over Terra is an artificially ancient human, or whoever the previous races were, constructed body. Yes, one of the moons is a freaking space station. And apparently no one knows about that, because obviously no one is around anymore who would remember that. So my current theory is that the moon is somehow responsible for whatever is happening with the sky. Now, what could it be doing? Is it... Well, put it this way. I have three logical conclusions what it could be doing. One of them being it's just projecting a quite literal fake sky around the planet, preventing also at the same time any kind of advancements into space, because maybe it's distorting with that field around the planet any kind of, you know, electronic devices that come too close to it, so everything just falls back, short circuits falls back. But why would it be doing that? Maybe the other option is that the moon is producing a what should we call it, a protective force field that is supposed to keep something from outside going down to the planet. Maybe it's producing a force field that is keeping something on the planet on the inside. You know, could be a vast array of things. But definitely my prediction is that the moon is causing that, that thing is responsible for whatever's wrong with the sky, and potentially we're gonna figure it out and see what is wrong with it. Maybe not figure it out completely, but actually realize that that is the case. And we'll see what more happens there. Now that's point number one. The rest I can fire off very quickly. The rest is, for point number two in this prediction, well, we have Mulesies, who already from her voice lines is acting very familiar with the Doctor. And considering she's an elf, probably also super very old. Who knows? Maybe she knew the Doctor from long time ago. And that's why they act so familiar. Or she just realizes and knows that the Doctor is from some time period where she is also from. So she acts familiar with them. Who knows? But maybe we'll figure it out, considering she's also part of the story, and a big part, it seems at least, of the story. Maybe we're gonna learn about the old races of this planet and what is happening and what happened. Would really appreciate that, especially that one, more so than the moon, to be precise. But yeah. Point number two is pretty much the past of Mulesies and the Doctor. Point number three in these predictions. Considering in the animated trailer we've seen, I think it was both Ifrit and Rosmontis. Definitely Rosmontis is present for this one. I have a strong feeling that we're gonna get a lot of details on Rosmontis' past and what happened in the laboratory that she was from. Because, again, as a reminder, I know this probably is not a widely known thing, especially for people who don't really look this stuff up, but Rosmontis was once upon a time in a Rhine lab environment, experimented on, and yeah, some big dang shit happened, and she did something very similar to Ifrit in the past. So, yeah. That's probably gonna be a plot point. Pardon. Probably gonna figure out, or maybe get to know what actually happened, because that is one of those things that is very little is known about that one specifically. And once again, would really appreciate to get to know more about that. Alright, but besides Ifrit and Rosmontis, one other thing coming back to the whole planet stuff that I would also really appreciate would be the freaking name of this planet. I'm not even joking about that one. We know Terra, but Terra is the landmass. To once again remind everybody, Terra is the landmass that the Arknights stories are taking place on, the continent essentially, but not the planet. We do not know what the planet is called, which is so weird to think about. But considering you have these all these advanced civilizations, societies, and so on and so forth, and all the weird wicked shit around the place, but you don't know the name of the planet. That is weird. Never thought around naming the thing at any given point, even in a more modern scenario. I guess not. But anyway, would be very nice to actually get to know the name of the world if that comes up as well at some point. Once again, we have Mumu here. Maybe she knows. And one final thing. I do not know if I'm pulling on this one a lot, but an Enfield connection? We've recently seen a lot about Enfield. A lot of media has been released, including a lot of the operators, characters, recruitable characters that have been posted to the main page. One of them being freaking Angelina, our Angelina from the looks of it. And someone who carries the surname Shen, but is not Shen, at least not the Shen we know. So yeah, are we gonna get finally some details on if it's, you know, this game is the past, Enfield is the future, or same time, separate dimensions, dimensional travel? Again, I'm not gonna put this last one, the dimensional travel stuff, too far away, because of certain things that got recently mentioned, and I'm not spoiling when and where, but dimensional manipulation was mentioned, so I'm gonna leave that one on the table. But I think those are all my predictions. I don't really have anything else more to say here. I could go on, but the intro is already long enough. And I don't want to bore anybody with even more stuff, so all I can do and say here right now is enjoy the story, and future Jacob, take it away, please. Alright, thank you very much, past Jacob. We are meeting quite a lot recently, don't we? Anyway, we shall now begin with the narration, as I said earlier. So, as you can see in front of yourself, this is as much story as we're gonna be covering today in this very first part. And yes, that is how much time is left on this video when you look at the bar. It is a dense story. They were not kidding. But yeah, I did see the numbers for how many words there are in this story, and oh boy, this is a promising beginning. But yeah, one final thing before we begin. Now that I have read the beginning of the story, I want to point out one very quick thing, and this is for people who do not like spoilers for other stuff. Yes, this story does contain some minor spoilers for the main story of Arknights, the current main story. Namely, or rather very quickly into the beginning of this first cutscene that we're gonna go into in a moment, there's a couple of mentions of certain things from the main story, certain elements, not people rather, and like events that have happened, but certain other elements that are part of the main story. So if you're someone who doesn't like to get spoiled, I would rather experience the main story in its entirety first before you go into this or learn what is happening there through other means. This is your warning. This is your final warning then. It will be minor so far. I do not know how much more they're going to be mentioning stuff proceeding later when we continue on in later parts. But for now, the spoilers are very minor. It is just a couple of mentions for some certain objects, let's put it that way. But anyway, I will be pointing out certain other things as well as we go through the story, because there's a couple of things that do need to be pointed out and addressed, and you will see what they are once we get to them. But anyway, let us proceed. We shall start with me reading you guys out the title and the description for our introductory cutscene. Then we shall proceed into the beautiful 3D animation that I always like to include here at the beginning. And then we shall proceed straight into the rest of the cutscene playing on stage ST-1. So then, ST-1, titled Dark Clouds. Brain is coming to Trimonts.
We were born to pursue knowledge. For we were all born with naught. Before we were given a language, our hands reach out without being taught. to see. All are to know. We think. We uncover. We theorize. The pursuers then throw themselves to the dark again. Bequests of the old, dotting our land. Enlightened futures they do not grant. Real enlightenment hides within these black thorns of the crystallines. Originium, harbinger of our calamities, herald of our creations. Catastrophes engrave our minds and motions. But a glitter are our deeds. Time they transcend. Thus we're made acquiescent to all retaliations. Now we pursue at a border again. Let only fools remain stagnant. Idly descend as history drags them. Lifeless, eroded, like pebbles become sand. They would never know. When we raise our eyes, a dome we shall gaze through. Visions, not of the land beneath, but of a world above. Forerunners were gone in glares. Aftercomers will seek their vestiges. There is only one mark. The truth.
If in a century or a millennium our descendants walk among the stars, the masses will sing her praises. She sat on a tree stump, humming as she observed the shapes of the clouds above. It was not until her mother called for her that she hopped off and ran toward the voice. The low flight that they were about to take was all too familiar to her parents, otherwise they would not have taken her along. Her goggles were strapped on and her seatbelt fastened. As the engines roared, the aircraft began to slide down the runway. The wind brushing her cheeks grew stronger and stronger. Scared, she closed her eyes. Then her body felt very light. A nauseous feeling gushed through her larynx, and her heart raced to the tip of her throat. She squeezed tightly into her mother's embrace. Fortunately, the feeling didn't last very long. When the aircraft stopped jolting, she slowly relaxed. But she was still too afraid to open her eyes, until her mother lightly tapped her shoulder. She finally found the courage to open her eyes and look around. From this angle, the city where she had lived her whole life felt so foreign and strange. The crowds that she was struggling to squeeze through now looked like tiny, insignificant insects. Her mother pointed up, prompting her to look. The sky was clear and bright. Outskirts of Max, District of Columbia, Colombia. The year 1099. Federal nomadic prison. Sir, you're sick. What? I'm as healthy as can be. No, I can tell. Alcoholic, corpulent, and insomniac. In this oppressive nomadic prison, surely you haven't had the chance to enjoy much of the finer things in life? Huh, you're right about that. I mean no offense. I get the sense that you might need some rest and recreation. Have you been to siesta? Minos? Please stop making fun of me. No, this is an invitation. Please, choose one. Think of it as a way to kill time as this boring wait drags on. Minos. Ah, Minos. The fruity aroma of its streets rides the wind past its pristine white walls. More importantly, the innate elegance of its beauties will have you reluctant to leave. Alright, I can already imagine the extravagant life you live. I'm green with envy. No, what I'm saying is that it's all prepared for you. All prepared for you? What do you mean? I believe an illness like yours can only be cured in such an environment. And you've been a great help for me across a variety of matters. Men like you deserve the finest of treatments. After a few months, any gloominess clouding your mind will have completely dissipated. You'll be as strong and sturdy as the Minoan craftsman. You might even enjoy a stimulating romantic encounter. Mr. Justin Fitzroy Jr., let me say this again. I'm fine. Please stop toying with me. Please, Mr. Justin was my father. Call me Justin Jr. Alright, Justin Jr. So even business section people at Rhine Lab know their medicine? No. I don't know the first thing about medicine. Who would be interested in something so complicated it can affect no visible, immediate change? Then what in the world are you talking? I'm sure you're dying to know what kind of illness you have and who spread it to you. Take a look around you and remember. Your superior, then that unsympathetic, good-for-nothing judge, and even the old warden so unpleasant even after he retired. You should have been hailed as a hero after you retired from pioneering, or at the very least enjoyed a comfortable life with a fancy house in a nomadic city on a government stipend. But now? You looked into my background. That's suiting medicine to the illness, sir, and the way I see it, your situation is hopeless. The remedy I prescribe is a vacation, a luxurious home, bottles of fine wine, beautiful specimens of your preferred gender, and top-notch security service. I don't understand. I know what you came here for. You're gonna take that one back with you. If you made it all the way here without trouble, then Rhine Lab and the brass must already have an arrangement. What's the point of bribing me now? I need an answer first. Are you willing to take fate into your own hands? Who isn't? Right, which is why you're very unlucky, and also lucky in a way. At the very least, you know the obstacle in front of you and your predicament. For instance, you've always played lackey to someone else. You were deliberately ignored and cast here. You also know what you want. For instance, you've been planning to propose to a certain someone, which got delayed by this trip, right? Oh, I wonder how the proposal would go on the Minoan plains. Yes, What do you need me to do, Justin Jr.? It's simple. Sell the information on all of the prison's special procedures to Rhine Lab. I guarantee you'll find the price I'm willing to pay more than attractive. That certainly wouldn't be hard, but you'll be held accountable. We came prepared. I mean it. The old man behind you have a serious appetite. I spent twice my budget to get all of this in order. They've been plenty arrogant the last couple years, and that won't do. Those greedy, selfish idiots haven't been willing to face facts. What, do you think they're some kind of Ursus or Lethanian nobles? I prefer a practical man like you, and so does Rhinelab. So, you could make a considerable fortune out of all of this. Then you and I can send those stubborn old men to prison. They won't get a chance to turn things around for the rest of their miserable lives. Doesn't that sound nice? You want me to defect? Hold on. Who the heck? Couldn't have picked a worse time. A letter from the bank. I thought I paid it all off. Justin Jr., this money... Did I forget to mention? My bad. Seems I'm not fit to be a doctor. This is your first course of treatment. So much. And the most effective cure for your disease is power and wealth. I guarantee it will get to the root of the problem on behalf of Rhinelab. I understand. Pleasure to work with you, Justin Jr. The pleasure is mine. Let me ask one more thing. Is Rhinelab full of men like you? No. They're all freaks. The freakiest you've ever seen. But I'm cool with freaks. Like the one we're looking for today. It's all ready, sir. Good, good. After all that effort, I finally get to meet our famous freak. Please don't forget what we talked about. I hope you'll be at my cocktail party in 3 Mounts next month, as my personal guest. No invitation necessary. She stood in the center on the day of her parents' funeral. People came and went around her. One after another, men she didn't know offered their condolences in front of her parents' portraits. A science journal's editor-in-chief, a high-level government official, a legendary investor in the finance world, the representative of a technology conglomerate. All of them looked so saddened that the genius inventor husband and wife brought the world of science to new heights, only to both die young. None of them could understand. They couldn't understand why, when this era-defining technology flight had just taken off, why would they waste their energy and effort on something as meaningless as researching the highest altitude possible? All of them were furious that, with the death of the Wrights, the government-sponsored plans became a laughingstock, and their enormous investments had all gone down the drain. One by one, the guests all left. She alone stood in front of her parents' grave and lifted her head up to look at the clear sky. Yet it was so dark and gloomy. The light is blindingly bright. Past the passageway's dark shadows, the uncharacteristically bright lights keep Justin Fitzroy Jr. from opening his eyes. The brightly glowing laboratory is exactly the same as the one in 3 Mounts. Justin Jr. takes 2 steps to feel things out and finds his attention instinctively drawn to the equipment so clean and shiny that there is light reflecting off of it. How much did this cost to build? They built all this for this one man's sake? Deep in an area of the laboratory untouched by light, an old man whose face is hidden guards a radio as ancient as himself. This is a prison. You call this a prison? God damn, Kirsten built a whole replica lab just for you? She thinks really highly of you, doesn't she? Convict number 30. You aren't the regular liaison, but I've seen your face. You're a Rhinelab director. Well, that's just hurtful. I played no small part in expanding the company to its current size in such a short period of time. How could Kirsten not have told you about me?
I have no interest in people like you. I'm a sick, crippled man. What do you want from me?
Don't talk like that. I've read your file. You were extraordinary. If it wasn't for...
Sorry, I'm pretty sensitive about the past.
Oh, alright. But I'm really curious. What is it that Kirsten wants you to accomplish so badly she went to all this trouble?
She didn't tell you? Which means you have no need to know, boy.
This isn't the first time a science freak has mocked me. Well, no biggie. My job here is to take you away. Looks like your little project has moved on to its next stage. She needs you there in person. It's about her survival plan.
So you do know, you sly little punk.
All I know is Kirsten has had you working on something to do with originium and the human body. It's not my area of expertise, but at the very least I know one thing. Ryan Lab's control is not a coward who fears death, and she definitely has no illness that need healing. Which means there's something else going on that's making her desperate for a way to extend her life. Some kind of extreme circumstances.
You're a smart one. No wonder she chose you to bring me out of this place. But you'll have to wait a little longer. It's almost time for the Vice President's speech.
A speech? You're into politics now?
No, today is going to be an interesting day. Patience is a virtue, kid. Now, we still have to introduce ourselves. I'm...
Logan Williams. It's a pleasure. I'm Justin Fitzroy Jr., Business Section Director at Ryan Lab, an outsider to the world of science and technology. I'm only here to bear witness to history, sir.
Dear Colombians of Three Mounds, this is your Vice President, Conrad Jackson. I'm sure many of you are confused by today's press conference. Before I explain anything, I'd like to have a chat with you all. Do any of you feel that on our Terra today, it's gotten hard to focus just on cities, or even the country in which we reside? There is more and more to be proven. Exchanges between nations have become more frequent, and likewise conflicts and confrontations have become more intense and unavoidable. So I want to ask all of you, Colombia has only been around for a handful of decades, but our history is already as rich as any other nation's. What is it that we have used to achieve this? It's our thirst for knowledge that drives us to explore the boundaries and depths of science. It's the pioneering spirit that flows in the veins of every single Colombian. That's my answer. That's our answer. And to maintain these two things, we are always willing to pay the price, no matter how high it may be.
What is Jackson talking about? The next election is right around the corner. He hasn't really done anything the last couple of years, so he's probably anxious. Paying a high price? He's not exactly off to a great start.
In this city of technology, Three Mounts, there are over a dozen special plates. On those plates, we're working tirelessly on countless research projects. We're developing, discovering, and guaranteeing our future ways of life. Many of you here are participating in those projects, and I'm very proud of you. In just 2 weeks, we will announce an achievement that is truly the greatest among them. It will change the landscape of international relations. It will allow us to seize the initiative to never again to fear any storm across any lands. It will be Colombia's first step into a new era.
Before I continue, well, look which asshole is still alive. how I am happy to see the guy on the right again. Huh? Who's with me there? Anyway. First step into a new era. I heard Jackson was already a famous orator and activist back in college. And now he's holding a press conference in Tremounts. You know what that means, right? Let's cut to the chase, Colonel Blake. You need my help, and I need yours. This is easy. Help, yeah. Sure. A super weapon crafted specifically to keep that damn shard of Londinium in check. Who knows how much money the military poured into that thing? But now Kirsten and all the techs on the project have disappeared without a trace. Overnight. And that... what does the handbook call that thing? Big ring again? H-A-M-H-R-R? Damn it, how did she hide such a big thing? The military is being pretty gentle as it is, not surrounding the city with an entire fleet of high-speed battleships. And this is what I'm here for. I have to admit, Kirsten really took me for a ride this time. But what reason do I have to believe that a failure like you can take care of this problem? There are lots of companies in Colombia that can rival Rhine Lab. There's nothing stopping us from taking a military approach and handing everything over to some other place. You're right, Colonel Blake. I failed, but I'm no fool. If the military were really that hardy, you would have done this a long time ago. You army guys were never the meek humanitarians you're trying to play. And I, the former director of energy, I know Rhine Lab. With my help, whatever you end up doing will go much smoother. Especially if you want to take care of this as quickly, as quietly as possible. Why should I trust you again? Is there anyone easier to keep in check than a failure with nothing to his name? Huh. I never thought there would come a day when you called yourself a failure, Ferdinand. Why are you so fixated on this? Always high and mighty, never revealing her secrets. She threw everyone's hard work and achievements under the bus, sacrificing the whole of Rhine Lab. Kirsten doesn't have the right. No one does. Alright, that's the most convincing thing you've said today. In a hallway outside the controls office, Rhine Lab, Tremounts.
I don't actually like this feeling a whole lot. Too quiet, the air's so chilly and dry, and the light's awfully cold. No idea what's up ahead either. Things weren't so lively back in the day. Most of the time everyone was just busy with research. We rarely ever saw each other, but after meetings we'd part and get drinks. Pat table legs with the project reports we just finished. I miss that feeling, the feeling of being accepted, the feeling that we were making a difference, that our work had purpose. You have to feel nostalgic for that too, don't you? Kirsten? You can stop dragging your gross tail across the floor. Nobody's coming to clean today. Olheyak. Oh, so you came here to cry your eyes out, huh? Guess I should have stayed hidden a little longer. Were you waiting for me? Mm-hmm. Then why are you standing all the way over there? I've got to be careful. A kid who just lost her parents might have a pretty bad temper. Besides, I thought you already had a water clone ready the moment I stepped into the room. Since I'm found out, I might as well drown you right away and stuff you into a dead power armor. Oh, I didn't know you were such a vengeful elf. A mail agent infiltrating this place, huh? What are you up to? Infiltrating? Think again. Would Control's office be that easy to infiltrate? Are you working for Control? What kind of deal do you two have? And what's she got you doing for her? Are you betraying the Mail Foundation for this, Kukulkan?
Very quickly here before I continue, she called olheyak Kukulkan. To add to this, or rather, better explain it, as a quick little search will tell you, Kukulkan is the serpent deity of the Mayan mythology. It is also closely related to the deity Cucumats of the Quiche people and to the Quetzalcoatl of the Aztec mythology. So it is kind of the same thing, but across multiple myths or multiple beliefs, rather. And I'm pointing this out because going forward, olheyak will be referred to herself with both these names from time to time. Anyway.
So many questions. Why don't you ask Kirsten yourself? You're so close to her, I'm sure she'd tell you. Alright, you're at the end of your rope. Why else would you expect to find Control in her office? Kirsten really asked you to come? If I told you I invited myself here, would it make your heart ache more? She doesn't have the time to deal with you right now. Perhaps she's already sick of all your backstabbing and all your distractions. Maybe she never had a place for you in her plans. Whatever you want to think. That's not your place to say. I'm just trying to remind you out of the kindness of my heart. Or pity, if that's how you want to see it. That you should try not to be so tense. Don't you think you know better than I do, Kukulkan? I've known her a lot longer than you have. Maybe I don't understand her, but I know what it is she's trying to do. It's hard to blame someone for grasping at straws when they're desperate, but if you get in the way, next time I'll really kill you.
The dreadful Berry has vanished. Aside from the droplets of water on the sofa, the fight earlier might as well have never happened. The door closes, Mulesys doesn't try to give chase. There's no telling how much truth there was to olheyak's words, but her presence alone already explains a lot. She should ask Kirsten directly. This is why she came here today, and she still has many other questions.
Kirsten.
There is no one here to answer her. Mulesys' voice echoes throughout the empty office. Her shadow is split into two halves by the wall, like two people standing at a branching path. When and where did this all begin? Everything that once was has changed, yet she knew nothing about it. This familiar room, this familiar hallway, both seem so foreign to her now. She hates this feeling. It's just like the time after she was born, when she realized for the first time that she was all alone in the world. On the day of Ryan Labs' foundation, everyone had faith that this was the starting point of a company destined for greatness. The idea made everyone nervous. It cheered them all up. It put smiles on their faces. It kept them up at night. She and Saria chatted about the future on the balcony until the next day's beaming sunrise shone directly into their eyes. At that moment, she thought that she, Saria, and all these people would walk with Ryan Lab forever. It was an unrealistic notion. When topics like profit, conflict, and misunderstanding piled onto her desk one after another, she couldn't help but laugh. What exactly is confining mankind? She lifted her head to look at the sky. It was so ugly. at a rest stop 3 Mounts outskirts, roughly 18 miles from the city center.
Hi there. 4 large cheese dogs, extra cheese.
You got it, coming right... Holy shit, bro, what the heck is this?
I caught some kind of disease when I was a kid. It's only because of the exoskeleton that I'm still alive. Sorry for spooking ya.
This is spooking me. Hell no, that looks so cool. Oh, so it's got to do with the 3 Mounts tech companies. No wonder. The gizmos they pump out are evolving so fast.
Something like that.
My bad, that was probably rude of me. Acting so surprised.
I'm used to it. Mind if I smoke here?
You can still smoke? That's amazing.
So empty here. This road doesn't get much traffic, does it?
Just today, when the vice president came through not long ago, the traffic jam was miles long. Maybe it's the weather. Here, your hot dog. That's some appetite you've got, bro. Take a seat wherever you want. Not like there's anyone else today.
Thanks. Hot dog, huh? Colombian fast food really is making strides. Well, it's all the same to me. So why are they called hot dogs again? Anything to do with the perros?
It was the first wave of Bolivarian settlers who introduced this particular food item to the Colombian masses. This type of sausage words. This type of sausage sandwich was frequently sold in night competition arenas at food carts attended by scantily clad Pero females or well-built Pero males. And with the passage of time, this food item came to be known as the hot dog in Colombian parlance.
Passage of time, huh? How funny how things can turn out just because of time. Want one, miss? My treat.
No, thank you.
The years really haven't been kind. When I still had a sense of taste, my appetite was probably a dozen times what it is now. I guess that's how things turn out with the passage of time. I envy a young lady like you.
I do not know if he means that literally, considering this guy, or if it's halfway an insult to who he's saying it.
I wonder how many things on Terra are built atop of this passage of time.
Everything is.
I guess you are right about that. It's been a while, Dame Cultsit. When was the last time we've met?
The day of Theresa's ascension ceremony after the war was over. Most Sarkas who still had a lingering nostalgia for Kazdal were there. You were no exception. What should I call you now?
Tin Man. That's what my coworkers call me. It's an adept descriptor, and not like names have much meaning to me anymore.
You represent the Maylander Foundation.
I do.
A powerful revenant.
And once powerful revenant. And besides, you know that the Ticas are closely connected to every corner of the world, and the Colombian plains are no exception. Or would it make you feel better if I told you the whispers of hatred still keep me up at night, and that I can't wait to turn into a flying fortress and fly straight back to Kazdal?
No, the Maylander Foundation noticed Rhode Island long ago.
This isn't the first time you've showed up on Colombians' radar, even if the last time was just a minor legal dispute. Was that in Toronto or someplace else? Rhode Island is still a young organization.
You know who it belonged to and what course it is taking.
I'm not trying to talk you into giving up, but based on our agent's intel, too many old friends are mixed up in this mess. A fair amount of them are your old friends too. I have no issues with Rhode Island getting involved in this, so long as you hear Mainlanders' thoughts first.
Is it thoughts you want Rhode Island to hear, or demands?
Regardless, personally speaking, I do hope we're on the same side this time. Dame cuts it.
I understand.
Are those two girls yours?
The Tin Man lifts his head up to gaze at the bottom of the dark clouds. Not far away, a pure white feline and a fire-red Savra sit on a bench. The Savra girl enthusiastically tries to tell something to her body, but her body simply stares at the sky, seemingly paying no attention whatsoever. She's thinking about the past. She seems to know why she received that letter and why she had to come back to this country, but she actually doesn't understand it all that well. She's simply thinking that there are things you have to face, sooner or later. And yes, if you're watching the screen right now, that is a Ifrit redesign. And she looks hella cool.
I should remember this place, but I don't think I wrote it down. Why didn't I write it down? Do I need to remember this place? Nah, you don't remember anything no matter what I ask you. This sucks. Do you remember? Me? Oh, of course I remember. This is Colombia. I've been here, and I hear you've been too.
Oh, I remember them. I see now. It's a cruel twist of fate, calls it, but you'll help children so young face their fate head on.
This is their decision. I have no right to intervene. Kotset silently looks at three mounts shrouded in dark clouds in the distance. Its tall skyscrapers remain under the thick dark clouds, its base hidden by the fields around them. Likewise, the Tin Man lifts his head. Up in the sky above the city and the entire lands, at an unreachable altitude that mankind has dreamt of reaching for thousands of years, a burning fireball is staring through the skies like a falling star.
Ifrit, do you want to hear a story? A story, alright. Today's story takes place in a beautiful city in Sargon. There was once a well-respected king, loved by his people, but when he finally grew old, he had an anxious look on his face, never calming down for even a second. He gave it his all to rule his city, but he found that not one thing in the city would bear his mark forever. His statues would crumble, and his legends would fade. People forget too easily. In the final days of his life, he eagerly hoped for there to be something that could truly symbolize his whole legacy and ensure that it would be told for generations to come. And so he asked his wife. He hoped to find his treasure with her together. They searched all over the lands and found a bottomless pit of gold, clothing that restored youth, a magic mirror that allowed its user change races at will, a sword that could rend mountains, and a treasure map that led to mythical realms.
I want you guys to linger for a bit on this whole sentence. This might be from a fairy tale, but haven't we seen some of these things in different forms already? Anyway.
None of these were what the king wanted. They were all too specific, and the desire they bore were too strong. The old king did not think any of these could represent his legacy. This left the queen stricken with grief. She prayed to the night skies that her husband would get his wish. Finally, hearing her faithful prayers, a star arrived in the mortal realm.
Ifrit stares blankly at the blazing red tail sweeping through the sky. She suddenly recalls a story out of the thousands that silence has told her. Legend has it there is always hope wherever a star so happens to land. The differences that divide mankind are mended the moment the star reaches the ground, and everyone's wishes will be fulfilled all at once. Will a star come falling down? There is no time to think. Time is flying by.
I wish for...
And that is our opening cutscene. And yes, that was almost 40 minutes. Anyway, we shall continue on to our first proper battle stage and the opening scene for that one. Stage CW-1. Dense Fog. Does the falling star foretell hope or disaster? Let's begin.
Right on time.
The librarian steps out onto the rooftop of a tall tower and looks up at the sky. From this high vantage point, the faint sharp screech is concealed by the sound of the wind, while the faint spot of light rapidly expands in her eyes. Her thick tail dexterously and rhythmically sweeps back and forth, a graceful measure to which the librarian can compare the invisible grid of the city beneath her.
Now, let's see, just where will this star land in 3 months? District 2 and 5 are primarily residential. 11's new industrial campus is under construction. Let's hope it won't be central. That place is packed with office buildings like the dime a dozen canned fins you get at the supermarket. And it's a workday. Those offices are gonna be full of people. Well, you really figured out where to land this experiment of yours. Or maybe you just never cared how much of a racket this might cause. Either way, you planned this far ahead. Things are getting more and more interesting, Kirsten. Confirmed. The Triton factory in District 13.
The librarian leaps from the tall tower. Who pulled the curtains open?
Look at the time. The Rhiners have been at work for an hour already.
Is this how our Rhine Lab director welcomes a guest?
I wanted to see you. That's why I'm here. You saved me from the power armor and I brought you breakfast. Fair's fair, right? That's the breakfast combo from the cafe at Rhine Lab HQ. They only sell 100 of those a day. Okay, don't give me that look. You're a grumpy Gus in the morning, huh?
It's Zarya I want to see, right?
Well, I haven't been able to contact her, but if she isn't here, then coming to you won't help. Anyway, take a look at this.
And on the news, this just in, Trimountians. An explosion occurred this morning at the Triton Chemical Plant number 3 in District 13. The specific cause of the explosion is still unknown, but the authorities' preliminary conclusion is that laboratory staff made a fatal error, leading to the construction machinery on-site exploding. A large stockpile of catalysts and reagents are stored at Triton Chemical Plant number 3, and to keep the chemicals from leaking out and causing more catastrophic damage, the military and government authorities are currently cleaning up the site. As of right now, all of District 13 is under temporary lockdown. Entry and exit from the district is being heavily restricted. Citizens are asked to cooperate with ongoing work there. The government has not responded to requests for comment, and it is not known at this time whether the lockdown in District 13 will affect Vice President Jackson's time in 3 months. Is this another Site 359?
I don't know the specifics. But if you do, or should I say Rhode Island, are here, considering how much Saria trusts you, there's no way you would ignore big news like this. Okay, Doctor, you've got some new visitors. I'll see you very soon.
So that was a clone after all. Wait, new visitors?
Rise and shine, Doctor, you big dumbass. Rise and shine.
Ifrit? Who brought you here?
Long time no see, Doctor. Telopsis has already returned to the land ship with Elena for checkup and treatment. Mechanist is currently on a new mission. From here on, I will be accompanying you.
And me. And also...
Rosmantis. The floaty feline girl apparently entered the room at some point. She stands next to the window and listens quietly to your conversation. She gazes at you and your room. Behind her there are pure white clouds floating gently across the clear Trimontian sky.
Don't be mad, Doctor. I asked Dr. Kaltsit to bring me along. I was invited by someone.
I will explain more about what's going on later. Seeing as you have the TV on, it seems you already know about District 13. The explosion wasn't caused by some careless lab technician. Something fell from the sky.
Well, we need to get to the bottom of this.
Yes, Saria has already gone to investigate. As for you, I need you to get out of bed and wash up.
Aye, aye, ma'am. I live there. Who the hell are you to stop me from going home? What gives you the right to lock the place down anyway? Is this even legal? Do you have anything in writing? I'm supposed to take your word that this is an emergency?
I'll be out in 10 minutes. I just need to head back for some documents. Our clients are waiting in the conference room.
Sorry, but I need to see your clearance.
Interesting. I was going to watch Saria to see what she's up to, and never expected to find this little bird making her way here.
Right. That's the little researcher from the Diabolic Crisis. Scouting the area with a drone from a dead angle while hiding in the crowd, waiting for an opportunity. Not bad. But the army has soldiers watching every single alley. It won't be so easy for you to break through their checkpoints. That said... I haven't the slightest idea what you can do, but you just might be able to give these baddies a little trouble, so I'll give you a hand.
What are you blabbing about?
Nothing. The package is recovered. It'll be delivered right away.
As you've no doubt heard on the news, it's just one factory that had an accident. Why is the entire district on lockdown? If you guys are actually worried about the chemicals, why aren't you wearing protective equipment? Why are you people still allowed to come and go? No one is buying your bullshit.
This is about the whole industrial campus upgrade project. If it falls through, who's gonna pay? Hurry up and let me by.
No pushing. Ugh, my arm. Why can't I move? Somebody broke through the cordon. How come the comms aren't working either? Your clearance, Miss Saria? And before I continue, yes, this is another Saria redesign for yet another side story she's in. And yes, for the astute onlookers, this is, I think, not fully, but very, very close to what she's wearing in the manga. by the way. And speaking of the manga, the person we met earlier in the story, Tin Man, is also from the manga. And yes, once again, it is not a skin you can obtain. Anyway, I skipped something.
You know me?
Former defense director of Rhine Lab. Your reputation precedes you here in Three Mounts.
So I can't enter District 13?
Not just you. If you don't have the clearance, please leave. You! Relax. Stow your weapon. Your face, your hands, you... It's the same all over. I may look scary, but it's just an exoskeleton. I work for the Mainlander Historical Association, currently part of the Vice President's entourage as his secretary. Here is my authorization. Miss Arya here is the subject matter expert we invited along. Mainlander, huh? You people are always so strange. Go talk to your superiors. We want to get a better grasp of the situation. Give me a minute. Looking at your attire, it seems you don't plan on bringing your shield along.
No, I just determined that I might need to apply full force to whatever is coming next.
Full force, huh? That phrase carries a weight far heavier than usual coming from the former director of Rhine Lab Defense Section. Seems like I did make it in time.
Our last meeting must have been at Hayden Pharmaceuticals, Detective.
We talked so much that I forgot to slide you and Mules's a free pint of draft beer on your last visit.
I know just how much powerful the Mainlander Foundation is, but I was still surprised when I heard the news from Kaltset. How did the two of you know each other?
We're just old friends.
So, what role is the Mainlander Foundation playing in our current situation?
Zarya, are you interested in politics?
Decidedly not.
So do I really need to answer that question? The Colonel is en route to his meeting with the Vice President. Your identities have been verified and the Colonel has authorized your entry to District 13. But we're conducting an emergency investigation to evaluate the hazard posed by the chemical leaks, so you won't be allowed near Triton Chemical Plant number 3. We'll also arrange an escort party to go with you, to provide any necessary help. No problem. We will go with your arrangements.
Made it in. Next, I keep 2 drones up in the air, 100 meters apart to survey the situation. The Triton factory should be right up ahead. I hope the self-combat tactics I learned at Rhode Island will come in handy here. Let's take it slow. Will I really find any leads on the transmitter here?
Quick flashback.
A batch of transmitter has gone missing? That's right. To be more precise, it was a batch of experimental materials with that transmitter included that was supposed to be shipped together to HQ for disposal. So someone stole it. And it's very likely to be someone within Rhine Lab. Silence, I'd like you to head to Three Mounts and help me investigate this. Me? I need to remain at Site 359 to cooperate with the military investigation, so I'll be stuck here for the time being. Are you going to negotiate with them? Don't worry. As much as I don't enjoy this stuff, I'm still capable of it. I'm a Rhine Lab director after all. I'm more worried about this batch of missing transmitter becoming the catalyst of someone else's ambitions. So, can you do it? Well... Silence, you're a student of Director Parvis, and yet you showed up here at Site 359. I had some doubts, but now I get it. You came here to ask for my help. Or maybe you wanted to know if the Director director of Originium art is trustworthy. I'm sorry. No need for apologies. I did come close to doing something awful. I should be thanking you, Silence. But at the same time, this is why I'm asking for your help. You are beholden only to your own standards and looking for your own answers. But even if I hadn't asked you, you still wouldn't return to Tree Mounts, right?
You still would have, pardon.
Yes. Oh no, why are there suddenly a lot more men on patrol?
Shit. Find anything over there? I searched a couple of alleyways over on that side. Nothing. The colonel is about to meet the vice president, so we had to play nice and let those two in. We were supposed to stick close to them. How did they lose us so quickly? They were walking so leisurely the whole time. Then they vanished behind a fence when I blinked. We really underestimated the fella, all covered in iron. Melanated people are always so tricky. I'll go report the situation to the brass. Take the boys with you and continue the search. Right, send more hands over to the factory too.
Your reflexes and stealth skills are admirable, Mr. Detective.
You flatter me. Even if we could manage them, it's better to shake them off our tail than to outright knock these psychopaths out.
We're here. Triton Chemical Plant number 3 is right up front.
They have already cordoned off the perimeter and deployed heavily armored soldiers at every possible location. Quite the impossible task to get any closer.
We're close enough for a clear view.
Saria's gaze travels over the throng of people and past the striking yellow barriers, landing on the factory behind. The once smooth factory building has been demolished beyond recognition, with scorch marks scrawled by heaps of debris scattered all over. A series of explosions have eroded the facade, leaving only the interior foundations that give her a clear view. In the center of the factory lies a huge ring-like mechanical structure, diagonally embedded into the ground like an outrageous art installation. The source of the explosion.
What have you found?
Neither the shape nor the mechanical structure of the object hints at its purpose, but it is clearly a device not meant to be used on land.
It fell from the sky.
We're too far away to discern any concrete details, but what can be confirmed at the very least is this thing has the mark of Rhine technology. To be precise, it has Kirsten's handwriting all over it. I'm sure of that.
Horizon Arc Project.
What?
I'm surprised you've not heard the name, given your position at Rhine and your relationship with Kirsten.
I'm glad I didn't get spotted. There really was one here. It's gone. Dorothy was right. Transmitter react to each other, and it wasn't too difficult to catch them with the one she gave me. But there's too few of them. Dorothy said there were more. Could there be nearby? Wait. This is the Triton factory?
A colossal ruin lies before her. Just how many injuries or casualties happen in there? Silence recalls the news not mentioning any numbers relevant to the question. She recalls the destruction at Site 359. It was difficult for her to even picture that it looked like before the ruins.
Was it Saria? Who was that with her? Saria, do you have something to do with this too?
Meanwhile,
Do you know where we're going? We're heading to Saria's stronghold in 3 months as part of our arrangement with her. Saria! It's been ages since I saw her. But if you need to talk to Saria, you two are gonna be busy, right? I guess she won't have time to talk to me. You and Rosmontes will stay with the doctor.
Ifrit, tell me more about what you did on the way here.
Oh, right. When the star came falling down, I was telling Rosmontes the story that Silence told me before. You still remember it, right? You weren't writing any of it down. Yep, I still remember. That night, it seemed the entire city heard the Queen's prayers and the sound of her tears splotching onto the sand. In the end, the Queen passed out in the high tower of the palace. The Queen's faithfulness reached the hearts of the stars. One after another they soared through the skies and came before the old king. The old king was swallowed by the endless surge of brightness. Within it, he saw a sight that he had never seen nor dreamed in his entire life. The next morning the Queen awoke to find a huge hole had appeared on the palace's roof, and the old king, who had passed away hours ago, stood with a smile still lingering on his now stiffened lips. Were the stars brought here by her prayers? The stars made her wish come true, and they took her lover with them.
Alright, and we should do the usual very quickly. We do have 2 new enemies to introduce here, one of them being an old enemy that we faced before. But the 2 new ones, one of them being the military hound, and it says, military hounds that first saw action in Bolivar. Their claws and fangs are as vicious as their temperament. And the other one, and we've seen these sprites more in detail, the 3 Mounts City Defender. Colombian soldiers stationed in 3 Mounts. They have close ties to all the tech companies and first dibs on cutting-edge equipment. Alright, and we shall continue on with the after part.
Colonel, sorry to keep you waiting for a half hour. I'm the one who should apologize, Mr. Vice President. Your schedule in 3 Mounts is packed, and I heard from Secretary Poward you had to cancel a meeting on account of my sudden visit. The military's response to the District 13 incident has been quick. It has also been intense. You had just given such a powerful, rousing speech for the masses. This couldn't have happened at a worse time. By the looks of things, this is more than a little accident, on your end as well. I'm just saying, it's still too soon to reveal the Horizon Arc project to the public. Which is why we would like you to cancel the rest of your itinerary and leave 3 Mounts. And we'll take care of these accidents as soon as we can.
By the way, while he's highlighted, I would like to address this magnificent bird on this guy's shoulder. It even looks like it has a mustache above its beak. And holy shit, the amount of medals.
Colonel, I understand what you're asking. But my schedule isn't going to change. In fact, I'm going to extend my stay in 3 Mounts. In my last meeting, I decided I'm going to Rhinelab to enjoy a fruitful dialogue with our exceptional researchers. We're one Columbia, Colonel Blake. We're all ready to give everything for our country. But with all the technological pioneers gathered in the city, they form the bedrock of Columbia's technological development, It's no exaggeration to say they're shaping the future of our country. Do you understand what I'm getting at? Even on the assembly lines of our nation's most developed munitions plants, it takes a day and a half to produce a single shell to spec. And that doesn't include the time it takes to send it out into the field to give the men some real, practical time on the thing. Take a step back, Colonel. The more we find ourselves facing super weapons that can change the world, like that Ark-01, the more composed we have to be. This is Colombia, not Sargon, not Bolivar. These past few years, the armored forces, or more accurately, Department of Defense, has continued to explore the nation's military capabilities. As a whole, progress has been fairly steady. From the President's perspective, this is a good thing, and he is glad to see it happen. However, given the shifts in international dynamics in recent years, particularly the re-emergence of Victoria's Shard, a number of things have changed. Such a terrifying superweapon has erased the concept of distance. All our ground defenses will be rendered useless, and the dust brought about by the storm may well fall upon our pillows at any time. The voices within the Department of Defense have grown increasingly hawkish, and a number of troubling signs have already appeared. They're hedging their bets on the research and development of similar, era-defining strategic weapons.
And that's how Kirsten caught the military's eye?
Correct. Kirsten became the military's core technical advisor. In a very short period of time, she submitted the proposal for the Horizon Arc project, planned the construction of the Ark-01 superweapon, and quickly began its implementation. The military has devoted a vast amount of resources to it, and as such, Brian Lab has enjoyed greater policy side support for quite some time now. This is why Ryan has been able to stand head and shoulders above many other tech companies in Tremouths. According to the information we have on hand, the construction of Ark-01 required digging complex SHAFT, or shafts, as well as erecting a HAMHRR at our aircraft's altitude limit. A monumental project indeed, and the military has spared no expenses in the effort. I imagine the man in front of you who fell from the sky was a part of this project.
Zarian's eyes shift from the factory ruins to the sky above her.
Using the sky as an intermediary transfer node?
We don't know the specific conceptual design or how it's implemented.
Using the sky as a transfer node to focus or redirect an enormous amount of energy so as to achieve a powerful strike over extreme distance. In theory, that is indeed possible. But would Kirsten really help the military construct a superweapon?
Looks like you didn't get the answer you wanted.
I knew from the beginning, this just makes it more apparent. A good politician would never rush to make his stance clear. At least for now, they don't want us taking over the project that fast.
And how do they intend to do that?
It's simple. All they need to do is delay. If we say that efficiency is the pursuit of scientific research, then, Ferdinand, delay is the preferred tool of these politicians. When the Singhya's administration first entered negotiations in Congress to reclaim the Woods Company's logging camp, virtually no progress was made in 3 years. It took the later party losing control of the area. They want to delay until we have our hands full, until we lose faith in the damned Horizon project, until it doesn't matter anymore. You've already been on site, right? What are your conclusions?
It was indeed the test flight of the ARC's 01's HAMHRR. By the way, from now on I'm gonna call that thing just hammer, even though it doesn't spell out hammer, like the other thing spells out literally shaft, but just for privacy's sake, just to make it easier on everybody, I'm just gonna call it hammer because that's the closest it sounds to. Continuing. The sky appears clear, but it is far from being a safe haven. Kirsten will need to test the new pressure and navigation system, a trial and error process that may need more than one flight. I'm more curious about the military-controlled shaft at the bottom of Arc 01. Where did Kirsten launch a beast of that size? The hammer's black box still hasn't been found. By tracing its routine data, we can triangulate the position of the launch site and locate Kirsten. We already conducted a full-scale search in District 13. Came up empty. Someone managed to retrieve the black box at the very beginning. Any possibility it might have been destroyed, given an explosion of that scope? Kirsten has already been missing for 2 weeks. She may have already obtained the experimental data she wanted in the black box, but she still doesn't want us to find her. In other words, the so-called Horizon Arc project, propped up by the military itself, is completely out of the military's hands. The longer the delay, the more variables there will be. I know. It's me. That's right. Jackson had no intention of taking things through with us. Me? Why would I have anything to hide? Go ask the agent sent to spy on Kirsten. Understood. I won't give an inch. I'll resolve the situation post-haste. Wait, what did you say? That's... Alright, I understand. You don't look so good, Colonel. You're right, Ferdinand. We can't let ourselves get bogged down any longer. The fact that Kirsten went AWOL while the military had eyes on her precisely shows that the project has progressed to a near feasible state. She might have defrauded her investors.
We have our suspicions as well, but you seem pretty sure of it, Sadia.
Because I know her well enough.
Oh?
Since its establishment, Rhinelab has been committed to breakthrough research in civilian technology and rarely intersects with the military. Kirsten herself has no interest in it. Furthermore, if the sky were part of her research plans, it would not be a means, but rather her ultimate objective.
The rights?
Precisely.
We haven't even explored everything these lands have to offer, and have only just begun measuring the heights of the skies. Why fly to such high places in vain? I still remember that comment in the newspaper made by the hovercraft expert, Stevenson, after the Wright's test flight crashed.
It encapsulates his regret for the death of the genius scientists, but has been twisted out of context as accurate per peer review. How ironic that it's become a weapon used against the Wrights.
I'd like to hear more.
Stevenson had a very good relationship with the Wrights, and even looked after Kirsten to some degree after their passing. Later, Kirsten was able to get on track in academia thanks to his recommendation.
A substantial secret that even I am not aware of.
But the relationship between Stevenson and Kirsten is not a cozy one. She inherited her parents' obsession with the skies and does not expect others to understand. She abhors the sky, Tin Man.
can't be a coincidence. It can't be a coincidence that a transmitter appeared at the scene of the accident. But what exactly is the connection between transmitter and the explosion? Do the things used in the factory require transmitters? I recall no such relationship between Triton Chemical and Rhine Lab. Or perhaps the transmitter had something to do with the ring-shaped mechanical object that smashed through the factory building. Saria is too far away. I can't hear what she's saying. Maybe I can try moving the drone a bit closer.
An unidentified drone has been shot down.
Oh no.
Miss, show me your security clearance. Don't have one. District 13 is under temporary lockdown. I'm gonna have to ask you to come with me.
I'm a worker at the Triton factory. I had the day off today, but I heard the factory exploded, so I came here to see what's going on.
If you're a worker at the factory, then explain the drone. And don't say you have nothing to do with it.
She's going to photograph the site.
Marianne? Is this really you? Oh my god!
Marianne. The last time I heard that name was 40 years.
You're talking about that press conference, right? It was right around the time your last movie came out. You told the world you got hurt in a catastrophe while shooting the thing, and you retired to behind-the-scenes work. My dad goes nuts every time he talks about you. He's got your complete filmography collection, and we've watched every movie 10 times over. I still remember the spy catchers. You caught the spy on the shore and leapt straight off the cruise ship. That was something. You just melt into every role you play. Today's mass-produced Frankfurt stars could take a cue or two from you.
Thanks. Unfortunately, the only role Marion plays these days is a negotiator of employee salaries.
You're...
Director of Human Resources at Rhine Lab, Jara Book Wilson. This is my clearance. I have a house in District 13. This woman is indeed a Triton employee. Rhine Lab and Triton Chemicals had a number of disagreements, just like the corporate struggles in the spy catcher.
I know, this is 3 months after all.
A subsidiary factory suddenly went up in flames. If photos from the scene hit the tabloids, that would send Triton down in scandal. This is her housewarming gift for joining Rhine. That would indeed be a violation of military regulations. Fortunately, the drone's been shot down, so the photos won't leak. Now then, let's move on and discuss your job hopping. Sure. But let me add something first. Isn't it a little unreasonable to suddenly ask the locals to lock themselves inside and wait for updates before they can do anything?
We're just following orders. Miss Marianne, I want to trust you, so both of you please leave. No exceptions.
Your name's Silence, right? I remember you were helping Parvis bring me some black bean tea. Director Jara, does this have something to do with Rhine Lab? That's why you snuck in here? There are some things I need to make sure of. This isn't exactly the best place for chit-chat. Head over here and wait for me. Where are we? Don't worry, it's my District 13 residence. What about you? I have company. An old friend has some business with me. I don't think I've ever heard you breathing. When you smoke, are you just letting it swirl around your stomach?
It's a habit, just like what you used to do after finishing a mission. You'd record the event on a note before burning it on the spot. The young researcher back there, you always have a soft spot for the youth.
Can't exactly ignore it, can I? An employee of my own company shows up in a military lockdown. It'd be bad for business if she gets caught.
See, you're just as attentive to detail as ever, regardless of what field you're in. You've caught my eye a number of times over the years, from the intermediary investor for all of 3 Mounds to the head of Rhine HR. You've contributed pretty much your entire network to this tech company. In other words, without you, we wouldn't have the Kirsten we know today. So, is you being here right now also the fault of that reckless girl? Or do you have ideas of your own?
Have you considered the possibility that I'm here because I bought a residence in District 13 and that I spend a few days here when I'm not too busy? I'm getting old, Tin Man. Age notwithstanding, when I came back to my senses, I realized that my health, my dreams, my friends, and my family had all been given to my country. In the end, nothing remained of Mainlander's Morning Star. I don't even have any tapes of the movies I made when I was young by which to remember my so-called youth.
I wasn't trying to point the finger at you, Jara. But if you're hoping that I turn a blind eye to this, I'm afraid I can't help you. Mainlander's only responsibility is to the country.
I just wanted to tell you I have no regrets. So even now, I won't do anything that would truly harm Columbia.
Are you still mourning in the depths of the rites?
As much as I like to deny it, the scene still haunts my dreams even now.
Meanwhile,
Delivery? Come, sign for it.
put it on the workstation. Olheyak scans the space in front of her, a massive hollow underground ring-shaped structure. In other words, a well. Originium lamps fastened to the well's walls provide only a basic lighting, making it difficult to determine the overall depth. Inlaid within the grooves running along the walls are cables extending into the darkness. The person with who she was speaking earlier is now pacing back and forth, leaving her with but a busy silhouette. She seems to be busy testing something. Even in such a deep area, her actions do not seem to cause much of an echo. Presumably, the surface structure incorporates some high-performance sound-absorbing material. The entire area seems to be as still and silent as lingering mist.
Are you not afraid of the dark? Do you not get bored? We're several hundred meters underground, and those Boris soldiers are patrolling just above us. You've been here a number of months, right? Haven't gone up for a walk? Nasty. I'm busy, Kukulkan. I don't have much free time on my hands either. What I'm saying is, put the black box down and get lost. I'm taking a risk here to get this to you under the watchful eyes of the military and the Mainlander. That's a bit cold of you, wouldn't you agree? This is a deal between you and Control. It's got nothing to do with me. You didn't do anything with the black box after you got your hands on it, did you? No. Damn, nice cold. The data calculations are, well, not that complicated.
Nasty dives back into her own work, and the screen is once again engulfed with a large amount of data, like a tide flooding across land. She focuses up more, leaving Olheyak alone to do little else than stare at her back. That is when she notices the devices around her waist. They appear as a lattice of dead branches spliced together irregularly, but as Nasty intermittently works at her station, they sway back and forth in a short, regular rhythm. As if sentient, they seem to be following Nasty's thoughts.
Looks like you managed to find nourishment for the rootless branches. The trajectory data has deviated slightly from the previous calculation, but is still within the expected range. It appears that transmitter can indeed be used as an alternative navigation resource. That being the case, we need to speed things up. By the way, How did Kirsten get you, the head of engineering, to willingly coop yourself up underground to do the hard work for her?
Nasty doesn't answer. She enters a few commands, and as the screens in front of her go dark one by one, she turns and heads towards the door. Behind her, the underground space becomes dimmer and dimmer.
I'm ready to touch some grass, Nasty. Did something good happen? Surely you're not going to keep the good news from me.
Nasty, speaking in sarcasm,
Begone.
olheyak takes a step back upon hearing that one word. Her body instinctively carries out the order, as if executing a command.
Cute curse you have there, Banshee. Did any of the staff ever tell you you've got a bad temper?
The icy cold air caresses Nasty's neck before dissipating like an illusion. The young banshee shivers slightly. A crack forms across the bone pen in her hand.
Oh my, they don't quite make them like they used to, do they? I know you have an entire drawer filled with spares. But I've always been curious. If you broke all of your bone pens, would you still be able to perform your little tricks? Go ahead and try me. I won't give the same command twice, Kukulkan. Fine, fine. Are all banshees as much of a stick in the mud as you? Don't pass up on this rare opportunity to get some fresh air. If you're afraid of the dark, I don't mind keeping you company part way.
Before the banshee can speak again, olheyak nimbly disappears behind the door. The darkness lingering within the air trembles violently for a spell. That Nasty finally lets go of her words.
I should go pick her up.
Speaking in sarcasm again,
At last, the bundled dream is about to settle.
so then, we have yet another banshee. Interesting, right? Anyway, we're moving on to stage number 2. Without a trace. Fickle hints come and go, as does the path ahead. These stars have twinkled above Terra since ancient times. Just how many romantic myths and searching gazes do they hold? Astrologers spend their lives assigning symbols to constellations and celestial bodies to give them meaning, while shamans and druids try to interpret the trails left by every passing meteor. They are untouchable. Indeed, it is precisely because of this that the sky has become the true home of those who indulge in fantasy. And for this great land, looking up holds no meaning. (6,152.31 meters, the height of Terra's sky, and also the last record of the Wright's final flight. No one has questioned this limit. Nobody's angry, confused, or curious about it. People live on this pea wrapped so softly in its pod and couldn't care any less. And thus came the shabby poem from an Ursan poet centuries ago. Starpod. A romantic name for the barrier. I've read through every paper related to the subject of barriers, those sloppy theories formulated by Victorian and Lethanian scholars. Analysis on pressure in space, theory on density differentials between the barrier and outside matter, all outdated and full of holes. Those Colombian academics announcing their pioneer spirit merely tinker with that garbage.
Then you get the occasional novel theory put out by younger scholars in academic journals. But they spend way more energy getting tenure and research grants than looking at the sky. Oh, by the way, the test platform we launched the other day has already fallen back to the ground, due to the same old problems with the barrier. The sudden change in basic aerodynamics, massive disruption to the originium zone, and the extremely rapid decay of any exogenous power. What about the results of the data analysis from the transmitter? The branch from the readjusted ones are solid. I've also already laid out the energy cables and connected them to the port you mentioned previously. But, Kirsten, you're well aware of just how much energy you'll need for this. The theory is sound, however. That won't be a problem. Alright. The test platform's crash landing has caused some trouble, and the military is burning with anxiety over your disappearance. Kirsten, whatever the next step may be, death might be the most merciful outcome. I wouldn't even consider that a price to pay at all. Nasty, do you like stargazing? No. Staring at something out of reach just makes me feel empty. And yet sometimes the unreachable can become a signboard for you. You are indeed right on one thing. Death is only the most merciful outcome. And I hope you don't die before giving me what you promised, Control. You should be more careful. Thank you, I will.
Colonel, how am I supposed to take this order? Let me guess, the agent you sent to watch Kirsten has gone MIA and you've suppressed the news. Your superiors aren't worried about your agents being silenced by Kirsten, but rather they might have signed on with her and betrayed the country. And they're probably even wondering, have you betrayed the country too? It's no wonder you've been racing to find Kirsten. My last tour was in Bolivar. In the late 40s, the coalition government, backed by the DoD, was bumbling around like toddlers in its own jurisdiction, and our intervention policy for the Bolivarian Civil War was deemed a failure. The DoD's rep has fallen so low in the eyes of the people, the general even handed over control of the armed forces. The DoD needs ARC-1 to restore its image and regain the trust of the people. And I also needed to prove myself worthy of plucking the general's medals out of the dust. So yeah, it is my last chance. But you can lay off the clownery for now, Ferdinand. Come on, Colonel, who are you even trying to fool with all that? This isn't enough of a reason for the DoD to go so far, and definitely not enough to stake your life on it. Hey, don't you always brag about being as smart as Kirsten? Why not use that clever scientist brain of yours and figure it out? It's not like you don't know a thing about Kirsten. Surely you ran a thorough check on her before handing the project over. The situation is pretty bad, but there's definitely a contingency plan at work. Your reactions have been abnormal anyway. If your people haven't gone crazy, then it only comes down to this. Kirsten isn't the actual reason. No, she's just a fuse. Ferdinand suddenly looks up at Blake, his eyes full of astonishment. He has come to a conclusion he can barely believe himself. You didn't meet the Vice President to talk about Kirsten, what you wanted was a mood. The Wrights were a pair of lunatics, squandering the nation's tax money on ridiculous notions like challenging the sky. And all they gave back to the country was a little lunatic by the name of Kirsten Wright. Ferdinand, I respect men of your caliber. Usually,
It's your type disrespecting the nation. Am I wrong? I can't imagine a meteor that fell from the sky having any motive beyond an attempt to provoke us. The most generous motive I can imagine is her selling the data to another country. She holds a weapon capable of seriously damaging a nomadic city, and the military handed it right to her. Or the worst, she actually wants to avenge her parents. She wants to point Ark-01 right at DC. She plans to destroy the Columbia that, in her eyes, treated her parents so unfairly. We've already seen through to make people wonder if they were born in the wrong era. We've already seen enough to make people wonder if they were born in the wrong era. Hell, the scarier the thing is, doesn't Jackson know about all this? Don't those Mainlander agents know too? Guess how much he already knew about Kirsten, me, and you before I even walked into his room. But he still chose to put it off. I won't sugarcoat it. From the moment we lost Bolivar, the coalition government has spared no effort in suppressing the military. Our current state of affairs is, to them, an excellent weapon. It doesn't matter if Kirsten is exacting revenge or betrayal. What's important is that this is a scandal for the DoD. And the losses brought on by it seem to be an acceptable cost to them. Do you want to be part of that cost, Ferdinand? Do I even get to choose? If you didn't figure it out just now, you might have. So you can, 1, use your connections with me, and just wait till we've recovered Ark-1, when the military will coincidentally be hiring a new scientist advisor. Or 2, die here with me, and be swept into the trash can of history together. Ferdinand stares at the soldier before him, confirming he's seen something in the man's eyes. Whether pure banter or a real crisis, silence has connected the two. I get it, Colonel. The Vice President has already broadcast live to every citizen that Columbia is about to enter a new era. But accidents are inevitable on the way to said era. I believe he'll dedicate everything he has to realize this for Columbia.
So that's the situation over there near the Triton factory. The parts regarding Kirsten are just my own guesswork. Judging by the military's response, that seems to hold enough water. A super weapon that the government hopes to use to reassert power, or Kirsten herself having other plans. 3 Mounts is indeed working on a secret mega project using energy at its core, with unimaginable destructive power yet to be scientifically tested, and it's nearing completion. That's what I'm worried about as well. Saria, has there ever been a mass blackout in 3 Mounts? Never. 3 Mounts has separate power grids for residential and commercial use, and each of their power reserves alone is enough to allow all the facilities in the entire city to operate normally for several months. Moreover, 3 Mounts has a booming technology industry with dozens of companies dedicated to developing new forms of energy, and nearby mobile industrial platforms regularly borrow energy from the city.
Gauntlett looks out the window. The skyscraper in the distance with its gigantic glass facade frames a billow of clouds, its surface crystal clear, like a leaf full of dewdrops. Indeed, it is just a leaf. Her gaze expands, and the building quickly disappears into a nest of countless skyscrapers. Exhibitions on science and technology interspersed with expo halls and other specialized buildings scattered around at random, like a bacterial colony in a forest. But as she raises her head, the vast sky dwarfs the city, and 3 Mounts is only a leaf. No matter if it's a superweapon ordered by the military or an unknown object that Curson has other plans for. The amount of energy and precision required for the Horizon Arc project is beyond the scope of our imaginations. Energy consumption and navigation accuracy are issues they must solve. So you're implying... I don't know how the Colombian military has assessed the situation, or how Curson has pulled the wool over their eyes. Even if she were be able to solve the issue of precision, my judgment is that it cannot support energy concentration on such a scale, even if you use all of the Tremount's energy reserves. Once you start such a huge project, it should drain Tremount's energy in an extremely short span of time, like stuffing a giant sponge into a glass of water. Even if Curson's talents and vision are far beyond the present, the current state of science and technology should not be able to realize such a concept. But she is by no means a simple mad scientist indulging her delusions. Unless she has already solved this problem.
What the heck are they talking about?
Hey Fred, stop eavesdropping. They're going to find out.
It's gotta be about the factory that went kaboom, right? Zarya looks kinda serious. Does this have something to do with Rhine? Doctor, is Silence in Tremounts too? Can we bring her here? Doctor, why are you frowning like that? Oh, I get it. You still blame Calcid for bringing Rosmontis and me here. We decided to come on our own. I've been here before. I can even be your tour guide.
Rosmontis, you're looking at the letter again. Are you okay?
He invited me to come back here.
The feline girl is still holding that thin envelope in her hands. 5 minutes ago, she opened it and quietly read the letter again, before stuffing it back inside a minute ago. She lifts her head up to look at you. There doesn't seem to be any particular emotion in her eyes, but you notice something unmistakable nonetheless. She's trying to comfort herself, almost like she's trying to smooth out a small, wrinkled piece of paper under the school desk without attracting anyone's attention. You can feel that she is confused, maybe even in pain.
I forgot again, Doctor. Can coming back here help me remember what I forgot? What did I forget? I should have it written down. I'm sure I know.
Rosmontis, relax. Slow down. Sometimes you can turn down an invitation.
I think I should stay.
Control your power. Don't force yourself to think, okay? I'm here.
Me too.
Do you have the data I need?
We have little time to spare, but those should help.
The energy section's project and construction plans and reports from the past 10 years. Energy and Energenium Arts section's experiment records. The scientific investigation section's expedition reports and data archives. It's a lot thicker than I imagined. Their position within Rhine Lab is rather unique. From the corporative perspective of cost, performance, and efficiency, their contributions to the company are negligible. They shouldn't even be on one of Rhine's 10 sections. And even though it doesn't rival what the core laboratories like energy and structural get, the budget that Rhine Lab allocates to polar field research and surveying technologies every year is no small amount. In fact, you could say they're throwing huge amounts of money at them. They collect and analyze seismic data from the Kazimierzian highlands surrounded by mountains in regular intervals, and have built close to 10 scientific research stations in the endless ice fields of Sami.
They frequently travel to Colombia's Great Lakes as well as the lowland deserts in the south for their investigations, and even seek to thoroughly explore the ruins of the abandoned cities in the bleached wasteland. Only a few know that the dust kicked up by the pioneering young Columbia is much older than the sands of Sargon. These scientists have not been measuring the boundaries of this world in the spirit of exploration. Rather, they are looking for something. These last few pages are all about tree mounds. Tree mounds? Why would scientific investigation need to factor in the location of headquarters? Every project I've checked so far has an immediate sign-off from Rhine Control. Kirsten. And so, did this farce just happen to take place in Tree Mounds? Or maybe it could only happen here? I would prefer to see some evidence rather than hear more of your roundabout explanations. I have some rough conjectures, but the clues are all a mess, and our present information is inadequate to serve as actual evidence. Let's take a short break. You should go have another chat with Ifrit. Get down, Calcit!
Meanwhile, in another place.
How is it? Does it fit? It's a new suit the Originium Art section developed. I made a few adjustments and it should fit you okay now. And I'm sure you know how to test out the new drone equipment. Yes. Come here, let me help you put the contacts in. Okay. That'll do it. Stand up and take a look around.
And there we have it. The new silent drip and the removal of the glasses for contacts has been provided by Jara. Anyway.
Great. You're like a completely different person. How are the contacts? I'm not quite used to them yet. But it's nice to go without weight on my nose. I have to say, you look sharper without your glasses.
I would disagree, but whatever.
I'm sure your friends will be shocked as soon as they see you. I'd rather surprise them another way. Such as? Say, my personality. You seize the day and work toward that. Don't underestimate what a little makeover can accomplish. I'll try my best. Besides, the lockdown isn't going to end anytime soon. The soldiers stopped you once, and it won't be easy to get around now that they've seen you. Get a makeover and upgrade your equipment while you're at it. 2 fowls with 1 stone. Thank you. It doesn't look like anyone's been here the last couple days. You came to District 13 for a reason today. I actually bought this as a vacation home, but with how busy my workers have been lately, I haven't had much time for rest. HR director and all. I just located a transmitter from Site 359 near the scene. Are you here to recover it? What does transmitter have to do with the Triton factory explosion? No, Dorothy wouldn't need a low-level researcher like me if you were already on the case. Ferdinand is out of the picture, but maybe there are other sections who want transmitter for their experiments.
I kinda hate to bring it to silence here, but Ferdinand sadly is not out of the picture. Anyway.
I also saw Saria there. Just how many Rhine Lab personnel are involved in this? You're asking too many questions in one go, Silence. And unfortunately I can't answer them. You should be well aware of Rhine Lab's organizational structure. The departments under General Affairs are only responsible for providing support to the scientific research sections. Originium Art, Energy, or whatever, human resource investigation has never interfered in any of their research projects. I've never been a researcher myself, after all. My mentor told me some stories about you in Control. Before joining Rhinelab, you were the most eccentric and yet the most successful investor in Three Mounts. You've never attended a single meeting, read a proposal or listened to a project briefing, but the projects you endorsed always miraculously succeeded. There's no need for you to be attached to a company, on the contrary, he said you might even become a tech pioneer to steer the course of the nation. But after Control had one meeting with you, you announced you were joining Rhinelab the very next day. The business world is always brimming with delicately packaged myths and legends. The outside world is full of speculation, but at my age, I don't...
And here is a word missing, so I'm just gonna read it as it says here.
I don't Kirsten to promise me anything. I only wanted to stay and watch her patch up a few regrets. Some her own and some mine. And well, that girl, I'm not sure where exactly she is now. You performed well, very well at Site 359. You cleaned up after Dorothy and followed the trail all the way here to recover the transmitter. Honestly, that's remarkable. But the Site 359 incident ends here, and whatever follows is already beyond the scope of both your responsibility and abilities. You're done here. What if I disagree, Director Jara? Oh, let's not be rash now. I have no intention of getting in your way. I don't understand. You won't tell me the truth, so why are you still helping me? Do you remember your first day at work? You're so reserved, but you still managed to talk non-stop for half an hour. I was only responsible for checking your background and qualification, you know. While I handled that, Parvis had already scored your employee exam with high numbers. Then why didn't you interrupt me? Because you're such an earnest woman, Silence. I have a lot of respect for serious scientists, same as Rhinelab. No matter how far Kirsten and them go, no matter what Rhinelab may become, we'll always need young people like you to take over the reins someday. You are Ryan's future. As HR director, my job is to protect our employees as best as I can, so I advise you to leave now. But if you have to see it all happen with your own eyes to make your preparations and choices, then I won't hold you back either. And that's all. And then I'll earnestly inform you that I'm going to continue my investigation.
Back to the chaos. Rosmontes! The very moment the impact force reaches you, you instinctively take the feline girl's hand. Evidently, she mistakes it for you being agitated about something. She relaxes her tightly clenched fist, carries you in her arms, and starts running away. How many times is the doctor gonna be carried by someone? And of all people, it's Rosmontes this time that carries the doctor around like a ragdoll? Oh, this sounds absolutely stupid, and I wish there was a CG for this. This is amazing. This tiny little cat is carrying. I know the doctor is a twig in like body mass, but holy shit, that's amazing. Anyway. At the same time, the fiery Sabra girl dashes in the other direction, her flames howling.
Leave this to me! Rosmontes, you protect the doctor! I'll melt all these big metal things with my flames! Out of the way, Ifrit!
A shadow steps in front of Ifrit. A thick wall of calcium crystals unfolds before her in an instant, blocking the power armor's onslaught. A burst of intense clashing fills the room, leaving a low, lingering hum in the air.
Saria!
We don't know what's going on. Let it go.
Doctor, are you hurt?
I'm fine.
All the data are destroyed. A distraction and then immediate retreat. The enemy had a clear objective. There aren't many who know about this hideout, and there are even fewer who would stand against us. It was Rhine Lab's mass-produced remote armors that carried out this attack. Is this someone from Rhine Lab then? That's not for certain. The military has already infiltrated Rhine Lab, and decisively eliminating unknown factors in their plans is more than their style. Anyway, you seem to be on the right track. There are people who wish for us to not go any deeper into this. Or perhaps we've been going the wrong way, and someone is trying to get us to continue our investigation. What is certain, at the very least, is that we have hit a critical point somewhere. And no matter who they are, the people behind this will pay the price. You're angry, Saria. Don't let anger cloud your judgment. If Kirsten has already solved her energy troubles and cut ties with the military, then we must hurry and find the energy core she's relying on. It shouldn't be too far from the shaft under military control. I already have a few conjectures based on my recent findings. I'll try to look for it, but I require more information. I need to head back to Rhine.
I'll go with you, Saria.
Don't be silly. I can't watch you right now. If you're here and you can't leave Three Mounts for the time being, you should spend time with the doctor. Don't go anywhere.
But the bad guys came to our doorstep looking for trouble. Besides, I helped the doctor.
You should... No, you did great. Be extra careful when I'm not around. Take care of the doctor, and don't let yourself get hurt.
Listen to Mama Saria. Alright, we do have new enemies here. Well, it's the one and only enemy here that is new, which is the Arc Screen Guard. Soldiers from the experimental unit with formidable defenses using the most advanced alloy technologies. However, the unresolved instability of the material makes them better suited for short, high-pressure skirmishes than thrown-out battles. So it's a battlesuit which can malfunction. Great. Anyway, continuing with the after part.
You aren't talking. The room is quiet. I don't really want to talk. Are you bored? Not really. I'm just not used to it.
Ifrit has been frowning from the moment they got back to their room, or more accurately, from the moment they left Saria. There are several intricate geometric shapes scattered on the table. It's a scale model of cities like Three Mounts, given to guests by the hotel for free. Rosmontes and Ifrit sit on opposite corners of the sofa, chatting on and off sporadically. You look at the children, but do not interrupt.
You wanna try building tree mounts again? It's really tough. It took me so long last time.
I've done it twice already.
Oh, so fast?
I remember, I wrote it down. There are a few really hard steps, and there are a few city blocks packed with buildings. They all look alike, so it's easy to get them mixed up, but I have it written down.
Do you always write things down?
Yep. I could forget them if I don't.
What did you write down? Mind telling me?
Dr. Amia, Dr. Kaltzit, Blaze, Vidi. And some people and things farther away. A long corridor. I got lost. My brothers aren't much older than me, but I can always count on them. They come to look for me in no time.
and they pat my head and tell me I have nothing to be afraid of. They have scars that look alike on the back of their heads too, like the marks I made to group flowers together last night. Brothers? You don't look so good. Relax. Don't think no more. I'm in a little better shape than you, but not by much. If only we could choose what we remember. I keep on remembering the noisy buzzing machines, the room all painted white. Layer after layer, it's like they built them like that to mess with me. Just thinking about it pisses me off. But I want to remember what Silence and Saria told me, and what they did too. So you're all sulky because of what just happened, because Saria. Maybe she's worried you get hurt. Dr. Katze didn't let the doctor go with her to look for the Ark-01 either. Silence won't let me see Saria, and Saria won't let me follow her and help her out. Maybe they aren't worried I'd muck things up. Maybe they think they didn't protect me well enough before, or maybe they think I'm still a kid who only knows how to throw a fit. They have a point. But I super hate this feeling. I think I get it. You do? Yep. When I left Rhode Island, Blaze and Veedy kept trying to talk me out of it. Blaze almost burned the letter. Amia and Dr. Katze let me go in the end, but I could tell they didn't actually want me to come back to Columbia. They were really worried, maybe just like Saria. And adults are all like that. But I want to remember the things that I've forgotten, even if I lose even more. I'm right to come back. It's the one thing I'm sure of.
Look at that smile.
You have a better memory than I do. That must mean you know what you have to do more than I do. That's exactly what I mean. You and I, the two of us, came back to Columbia, to 3 months, out of our own choosing, and we both have things we have to do. No more. Now I feel much better. Once this is all over, let's do some touring with the doctor. We'll go out and have a look around town. What do you think? The sky over 3 Mounts is usually pretty gloomy. It's really special that it's so clear. I could be your tour guide. Oh, wait, you already built 3 Mounts twice. You know this place better than I do. Okay. Is Katze back? I'll go get the door. It's you. You're the Tin Man who ate 4 big-ass hot dogs in one go.
That's how she remembered him.
Finally made it out of District 13. I have to thank Director Jara for the new equipment. The drone's rotor is probably made of some kind of high-performance optical material. Its camouflage ability has increased greatly, and the surveillance range has doubled. Now, what next? This is my only clue. It doesn't matter where it leads me, as long as it brings me closer to the truth. The transmitter's response has been growing stronger ever since I approached District 9. If I remember correctly, the park right here should be closed due to some government planning issues.
Irregular geometric shapes of silver float slowly in the air, accompanied by the buzz of a high-frequency hum. It is another transmitter, but it seems to be slightly different than the one in her hand, and Silence could not make out what the specific differences were. An aged Cabernet in the middle of the room nods slightly, as if he had heard someone call him. The transmitter draws a huge arc in the air as it lands on his shoulders.
Long time no see, Silence. You look well.
Silence pulls the excited transmitter back into her arms and slowly walks towards the other party.
Professor?
Made it all the way here from Site 359? You're so much braver than you were before.
But I never thought the man I found would be you.
I heard you helped Dorothy. Very good. Ferdinand is too hungry for success and Dorothy is an extremely obstinate woman. Things might not have ended as they did without you. I know you have many questions you want to ask. But first, pass me that crystalline unit over there.
Silence picks up the experimental instrument next to her, walks over to Parvis and puts it down where his finger is pointing. She connects the unit to the operating terminal's port, and Parvis is already seated in front of the monitor without even glancing at her, as a slew of complex equations frantically calculates themselves on the display. Only when Silence stands up does she realize that he had given the order as naturally as she had executed it.
I'm a busy man, but you've done very well to find me here, so I'll tell you whatever you want to know.
Are you using transmitter?
Indeed.
What exactly is it being used for?
The transmitter is extremely sensitive to micro vibrations. It can receive and encode nerve signals, and Dorothy hoped it would replace traditional arts units, becoming a brand new medium that would allow everyone connected to it to completely equal individuals. And Ferdinand intends to use its superorganism characteristics to manufacture super equipment that can accurately deliver weapons across vast distances.
So you know everything that happened to Site 359?
Parvis does not answer. Silence carefully observes her professor's expression. It is not as if he is not trying to avoid it or is bored by the question, but rather it is not even worth answering at all.
So if you knew about their research all along, then on what side are you on? Dorothy's, Ferdinand's, or Control's? Or is it, as my colleagues in the break room once said, the director of structural is an old goat with a permanent smile on his face who always chooses whether is most convenient for him?
I'm not on any particular side, Silence. I help them because both Ferdinand and Dorothy are hard workers. You're full of ideals and enthusiasm. The same goes for you. Whoever I don't support is due to their mediocre capacity as scientists, me included. We are unable to transcend this mediocre and feeble era.
What about you? What do you intend to do with the transmitter?
That's enough, Silence. It's that I'm unwilling to answer you, but this question exceeds your level of understanding. I have much to do, and lack the luxury of time to tell you everything from the very beginning. Though you may stay, you are one of my best students after all. Soon we shall have the most ideal environment for our experiments. One that meets all our material requirements and catalytic conditions. So now we must prepare ourselves for it. It will be the most disruptive experiment in history, and you will bear witness to the birth of true greatness. It is neither short-sighted nor feeble. It will transcend every limit there is, and save us all from mediocre progress. This is the real and rightful promise of science itself.
The pioneers at Site 359, the workers at the Triton factory. Professor, your research has hurt many innocent people. Will it harm even more?
This is science, Silence. As scientists, we need only consider one thing and one thing alone. And that is how to accomplish it. That alone is more than enough to exhaust us.
Parvis is speaking very calmly. More precisely, he even sounds a little distracted. The equation on the screen seems to have to do with the transmitter. Parvis never turns to look at Silence. His eyes are fixated only on the equation. Silence can tell very clearly what it is that she is feeling right this moment. Anger. She clenches her fist. Back at the hotel.
I see. No wonder I couldn't get in touch with Saria or Kalsit. Doctor, I can task you with this matter all the same. I heard about what happened from Kalsit. It's been a long time, when last we met. Speaking of, are you afraid of me because of the way I look? You've been staring for a bit.
Are your organs made of tin too, or is there nothing in your belly? What happens if your skin rusts? Does that count as skin disease? Do you get arthritis? Do you put WD-40 on your joints?
You've changed, Doctor. Back on topic. We don't have much time. And given your condition, there is not much catching up to do. The Maylander Foundation wishes for Rhode Island to help us stop the military from assassinating the Vice President. Doctor, you don't seem surprised. We've just got this piece of intel ourselves. Tomorrow, Jackson will visit Rhine Lab, and that's when Blake will make his move. No doubt Kalsit has already gone over the Horizon Arc project with you, so I won't touch on that. Rhode Island should be on the same side as the Maylander Foundation in this. It's a promise that Kalsit made to me, and it is also the prerequisite for your entry into Tremounts. Assist the Maylander Foundation in stopping the military's absurd act of treason. You can see this as an order, Doctor.
You aren't here to find the Vice President some bodyguards, are you?
You're still as calm and sharp as ever. That matches the impression I had of you. Right, the Maylander Foundation is already allocating our resources to ensure Vice President Jackson's safety, but that alone will not stop the military's plan. One of the events after the press conference includes a visit to Rhine Lab. His entire trip for that day will be broadcast live. If his assassins and our agents come to blows before the public, it doesn't matter if the assassination itself is successful or not. Blake will still have a reason to declare martial law and take over Tremounts. Just like District 13 right now. Neither I nor Maylander likes it when the enemy has all their eggs in one basket. Because that's always an omen of the collapse to come.
You sure you don't want Kalsit's opinion first?
This is an official request that Maylander is making to Rhode Island. You are the doctor of Rhode Island. If Kalsit continues to have her faith in you, I have no reason to doubt your abilities. Time's a wasting, Doctor. I hope you will cooperate with us well.
Too bad Mechanist just left Tremounts.
Doctor, let me and Rosmontis catch the hitman who's after the Vice President. Kalsit's still looking for the entrance to that Arc-01 thing, and Saria's gone back to Rhine Lab to look for data. Doctor, we have to get on this right now. Or are you still treating me like a kid, just like Saria and Silence? Doctor, you've brought me on so many successful missions now. In 2 more years, I'll get to apply to become an elite operator. Oh, Rosmontis already elite.
I'll get to apply to become an elite operator in 2 more years. Hello? Very interesting, right? Do I smell a Ifrit altar on the horizon?
Anyway, if you're gonna lock me in the hotel room...
I'm just wondering what kind of mission I should assign you, Operator Ifrit. Meanwhile... Hey! Watch where you're going! You're gonna get hit by a car spacing out like that. Silence flashing back.
Let me leave you with a little advice, Researcher Silence. You may think helping Anthony is the right thing to do, but that couldn't be further from the truth. It's silly to think that Simon Coe was just the victim of their fight with Hydebro. They were fighting because they were hell-bent on bringing down the other side. It's just that old Smith didn't play the game as well as his opponent. In other words, if Smith managed to make his move before Hydebro, it would have been the Hydes hunkering down in Bunker Hill right now instead of his family. From that point of view, is Anthony really just a victim? But what do you think, Anthony?
I can't deny it.
But there are no ifs in this world, I know that. I'm telling you all this because I want you to understand something. If you want to do the right thing, you need to first be able to tell what's actually right. You also need to understand that doing the right thing doesn't necessarily mean you don't have a price to pay.
Flashing back to a memory with Dorothy.
It's not just energy and originium art. I can't tell you where this trail will lead and how many people it will end up dragging into the mess. But you will no doubt come to see a side of Rhine Lab that you have never known. Be it the Diabolic Crisis or Site 359, you know that Rhine Lab is nowhere near as wonderful as the recruitment videos make it seem. Even then, it may still disgust you. If it comes down to it, you may use my permissions as the director of the Originium Art section. If you use my permissions to do anything else, I will turn a blind eye to that too. Director Franks, I won't. But Silence, remember this. Your mission is to recover the batch of transmitters lost at Site 359 and nothing more. If you run into any obstacles too difficult to overcome, you are free to give up any time you want. There are some things that, until you find your own answer, you have no power to fight.
And flashing back to Parvis.
This is science.
This is very hard to say. Sorry.
This is science, Silence. As scientists, we need only consider one thing and one thing alone. And that is how to accomplish it. That alone is more than enough to exhaust us. You're a lot more composed now, but your eyes are the same as back during Haydn 1. Angry over that sick child, criticizing me for those minor issues during the procedures, and even blaming science itself.
Minor issues, he says.
But as I have so often told you, many times in the past, only science can change what needs to be changed. It can advance an entire age, but its progress lies in the hands of a limited few. This is a natural paradox, Silence, and a paradox simply implies a cost. I have already given you the clues you have been wanting. But Silence, what can you do? You don't even know where to start your inquiries.
After leaving Parvis's lab, Silence spends the next half hour walking aimlessly along the streets of District 9. She had followed the transmitter all the way here, but what should she be doing now? What could she even do? Stop her own mentor, find control and beg her for the truth from her? He was right. How could she stop anyone if she doesn't even know where to begin? She's angry, but anger itself holds no meaning whatsoever. Holy shit! Hey you, Liberi chick! All of the way!
A
perfectly regular intersection in Tremounts District 9. The driver anxiously confirms the current time. He needs to get to his destination within the next 10 minutes to block off a difficult client in time and allow the other party to sign the contract. But in the next second, he feels as if he's suddenly on a roller coaster ride, as if invisible slopes had formed with the air. His car climbs, turns, accelerates, and turns into a cannonball. Water. Drops of water suddenly appear and chain the car's wheels to a halt, and the out-of-control vehicle seems to almost graze silence as it slides past her, scorching the tarmac with a shrill sound. Half the road is completely drenched, as if it has only just rained. Are you okay? Sorry, I have no idea what just happened.
Silence. Tremounts has a ton of cars on the road. You could get run over if you keep spacing out like that. Director Muses? Just now, I'm just passing by. No need to thank me. By the way, when did you piss off that psycho? Knowing what she's capable of, she might have been more direct and messed with the air. Looks like it was just a prank she pulled while she was at it. What are you talking about? Never mind. Nothing that crazy woman does surprises me anymore. Huh? Silence? When did you change into this new uniform? The material looks great and it fits you perfectly. You look like a completely different person. I almost couldn't tell it was you. Speaking of which, I didn't recognize Iffy either. She got new threads and she's so much taller now. Ifrit? What is Ifrit doing in Tremounts? She's with Rhode Island's doctor. The doctor is here too? Huh? I thought you two were here together.
Mulesey's surprised expression is very vivid, to the point that Silence immediately realizes what she is here for. There is no doubt that Mulesey is doing this out of kindness. The games that the higher-ups are playing are too dangerous, and she's trying to get this lowly researcher to stay away from Ryan Lab while this is going on. Hayden 1 Laboratory, Site 359, Triton Factory. Paris, Dorothy, Jara, Mulesey. She has stumbled her way to this point. How many obstacles will she still have to face? All of a sudden, Silence is struck with a sense of helplessness that she has never felt before.
Where are Ifrit and the doctor? I was only going to have you make some trouble for Blake. Never did I expect you to follow the trail to the old goat. The elf saved you, but where will you take... But where will she take you now? Oh well, just a little birdie. No need to worry about her.
And that will be our finale for today. Next time we shall begin from the training stage, at least with the addition of what is set and spelled out on it. And if any cutscene plays on it, I have no idea. I haven't clicked on this thing. This is enough for now. This is already long enough. But yeah, I'm gonna look also into a couple of extra things, see if they are worthwhile to add in between or at the end of future episodes. Yeah, we'll see how this goes and how this extra material I have in mind may work out and may be able to fill out some blanks maybe or extra information, but you'll hear about that in the next part. For now, all I can say is this has been a long recording session. I need to stretch my back after I'm done uploading this to YouTube. And yeah, I hope you enjoyed this. This is a lot of stuff, and I'm dreading the usual recap that I begin episodes 2 and onward for previous parts. Oh god, I'll have to I'll have to remember a lot of stuff and make a couple of bullet points, I think. But anyway, thank you all for listening. I hope you enjoyed. If you did, please consider leaving a like on this video. It would help both me a lot and the video to be pushed a lot more in the algorithm. If you want more of this stuff, consider subscribing. There is a lot more on the channel if you just want to sit back, like I said at the very beginning as well, and just listen to old and new Arknights side stories and main story. And of course, if you want to support the channel even further, there are memberships as well. The membership will never be like a thing where videos are gated behind. It's literally just there to support the channel, hence the very cheap price. So consider, maybe you can become one of we many. Wink. But yeah, anyway, thank you very much for listening, and I will see you in the next one. Good luck on the muses and olheyak pulls, if you are gonna be pulling or still pulling, and I will see you in the next one. Until then, bye bye.